We ready to go?
I'm sorry. We've been holding you up.
That's okay. I overheard Commissioner Page say we must be finished by 2:15, so we will be finished by 2:15. Okay. Do we have any public comments today?
No speakers.
No speakers. Excellent. How about approving the minutes from the 27th? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Seconded?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes pass. Any changes to the work plan?
Yes, we have a change. Today we will not be presenting the quarterly update on capital construction projects. We have discussions ongoing with the FTA this week, and hopefully we'll be able to advance closing some of the open issues with them, and we will be presenting the capital construction projects next month instead. In addition, in January 2010, in the work plan in the past, we had omitted an item that's been part of the work plan. It's just been omitted from the document that we presented. So I apologize, and you'll see that in January 2010, we corrected the omission and put back the annual update on LIR and MNR rolling stock programs. Commitments and completions? Yes.
Yes. Okay, the next is commitments and completions update, which is tab 2 of the book.
Yes, MTA committed $3.03 billion through August, which is 76% of the planned commitments. New York City Transit committed $1.63 billion, or 89% of its plan. There is some delay in awarding the White Plains Road line East 180th Street Station rehab and ADA for $81 million, and the Mott Avenue Far Rockaway Station rehab for $30 million until September. The purchase of 23A division cars for Flushing CBTC for $75 million until October, and delayed commitments of Flushing CBTC for $348 million until November. The total value of delayed commitments was partially offset by bid savings and stimulus projects, which were not in the plan but are shown in the key projects listed on page 2-15. Long Island Railroad committed $152 million, or 72% of its plan. This is mostly due to delay in awarding the life cycle maintenance shop for $38 million until September. Metro North committed $198 million, or 110% of its plan. Capital Construction committed $978 million, or 62% of its plan. This is mostly due to delay in awarding the East Side Access Queens Board Tunnel for $490 million until September, and Northern Boulevard Crossing for $61 million until October. Bridges and Tunnels committed $17 million, or 18% of its plan. This is due to delay in award of the rehab of the RFK Bridge Building 104 for $67 million until September, and the Bright Swingstone concrete anchorage repairs for $7 million until November. MTA Bus committed $17 million, or 27% of its plan of $62 million. This is mostly due to delay in award of the new roof and ventilation system at Far Rockaway for $5 million until September, the new roof and ventilation system at the East Chester Maintenance Building in Baisley Park for $10 million, and the parking lot at JFK and Baisley Park for $10 million until December, and the emergency generator upgrade at 6 depots for $14 million until February 2010. The police department planned commitment of $2.5 million for the K-9 facility has slipped to 2010, pending property acquisition. Completions. MTA completed $2.24 billion through August. New York City Transit completed $1.29 billion, or 82% of its plan. This is due to delayed completion of tunnel lighting rehab at 207th Street to 168th Street on 8th Avenue for $72 million until November. Sonnet ATM for $201 million to be determined. The total value of delayed commitments was partially offset by accelerated acceptance of R160 cars. Long Island Railroad completed $95 million, or 43% of its plan of $222 million. This is due to delayed award of the composite third rail project for $20 million, Valley Stream rehab for $6 million, and Atlantic Terminal for $101 million until September. Metro North completed $430 million, or 515% of its plan. This is due to scope reduction and advanced completion for the Harmon Shop replacement program, which saved $357 million. Capital Construction completed $33 million, or 6% of its plan of $551 million. This is due to delayed completion of South Ferry structural box for $291 million, battery place vent enclosure for $25 million, South Ferry Terminal Station finishes the systems for $147 million, and battery replace event plan equipment for $10 million until September. Bridges and Tunnels completed $395 million, or 94% of its plan.
Are there any questions? Comments? Okay. We're now going to hear a presentation from Transit, specifically Fred Smith, who's VP and Deputy Engineer for the Capital Program Management, Craig Stewart, Chief Officer, Capital Plans, Department of Subways, and John Pantelides, Chief Program Controls, Capital Program Management. I had the opportunity to see this once before. It's a really interesting and exciting way to go about the way we reconstruct. So take it away.
Received a presentation on the Culver Viaduct a few months ago. That presentation listed 4 upcoming projects that were needed to be coordinated with the Culver work. My colleagues and I are here today to present to you the Church Avenue signal modernization, which is the largest one of those 4 projects to be coordinated. Church Avenue interlocking is located on the Culver, the F line in Brooklyn. This is one of the lines with a 70-plus-year-old signal system, which I mentioned in my last signal program presentation. It was placed in service in 1933. This project is included in the 10 to 14 proposed program, and it was programmed for award in 2010. However, by sharing the Culver Viaduct shutdowns, we can benefit significantly in both budget and schedule by advancing that award as early as possible in 2010. Making the Church Avenue interlocking ready for CBTC is also necessary, as there is a segment on the southbound express which will be used as a test track for the full implementation of CBTC on the entire B division of the system. The project's objectives are consistent with the signal program. Those are modernization of signal equipment to a state of good repair, improvement in operational reliability of the signal system, leading in a reduction in maintenance costs, and the minimization of customer inconvenience both during construction and at the conclusion of construction. The signal modernization project spans approximately 2.6 route miles along a 4-track tunnel subway, extending from south of 4th Avenue Station to south of the Church Avenue Station. We will be replacing the relay-based fixed-block signal controls. All 4 tracks will be signaled for a 90-second headway to maximize capacity. The southbound express track will be equipped as a test track from 4th Avenue to Church Avenue. All locations will be constructed to allow for CBTC to be overlaid at a later date. Finding space for new areas while we maintain operations is always a challenge on our capital projects. As part of the interlocking modernization work, we will need to construct a new facility to house the signal rooms above ground at Church Avenue. This is a computer-generated view of the 2-story structure. It is being designed to achieve LEED certification as a green building. It will be located on the median island at McDonald Avenue at the intersection of Avenues C. The highlighted portion of the aerial photo shows the building footprint. It's directly above the portal where the elevated tracks enter the subway as you travel north from Ditmas Avenue down into Church Avenue Station. To house all the electrical equipment that will be required down the line, we will need to also build 3 new equipment rooms in the tunnel. A new master tower will be constructed on the mezzanine of the Church Avenue Station behind the new elevators, if you're familiar with the station. That new master tower will control the line from Ditmas Avenue through Church into 4th Avenue as well, as the yard tracks and the switch is located on the lower level at Church Avenue. Train movements will be monitored from 18th Avenue up to Bergen Street, which we rehabilitated in the last capital program. There's a small existing tower on the south end of the platform that will be converted into a dispatcher's office. And the existing relay room, which is small also, will be converted into a crew facility for the signal maintenance forces. In addition, we will remove 4 switches and associated tracks on the lower level underneath Church Avenue and replace all existing wayside signals within the yard limits on the lower level. I'll now introduce Mr. Craig Stewart, Chief Officer, Capital Programs for the Department of Subways. He'll share with you how the project benefits from coordinating with the Culver Viaduct project. Craig?
Thanks, Fred. I'm going to discuss the phasing plan of the Church Avenue interlocking signal project, specifically its impact on passenger service and how it will work in conjunction with the ongoing Culver Viaduct reconstruction project. The Culver Viaduct project is a large undertaking involving the rebuilding of the viaduct structure as well as the track and station rehabilitation work. You may recall we presented a fairly complex phasing plan as part of the Culver Viaduct risk assessment presentation in April. This chart shows the type of work occurring in each phase of the two projects. All of the major work activities have been coordinated to take advantage of the track outages and service diversions associated with each phase. The precise coordination of these two projects will significantly reduce construction duration and cost of the Church Avenue interlocking project. As you can see from this timeline above, the Culver Viaduct project was awarded in March 2009 and is currently in its first phase of construction. The project has a duration of 47 months with a completion date of February 2013. Originally, the Church Avenue interlocking project was scheduled to be awarded in October 2010 with a duration of 59 months. By advancing this award to March 2010, sharing the carefully planned diversions of the viaduct project, the project's planned duration has been reduced to 48 months, saving nearly a year's time in construction. The two projects will work concurrently for a total of 35 months, sharing all track access opportunities. In effect, this will reduce the impact on our customers by further maximizing the number of construction activities taking place under each outage. After the completion of the viaduct, the interlocking project will continue into Phase 5 for an additional 13 months and be completed in 2014, March 2014. The diversions with the largest customer impact will be weekend shutdowns between J Street and Church Avenue. The 28,000 passengers that normally use this service each weekend will be served by supplemental bus service in both directions. A total of 21 weekend shutdowns will occur over the 47-month duration of the viaduct project. The Church Avenue interlocking project will take advantage of 15 of the 21 shutdowns to carry out work such as the installation of wayside equipment and block signal controls. These shutdowns will affect roughly 7% of the weekends over the entire duration of the project. During phases 1 and 4, weekend shutdowns will be the only service diversions affecting customers. During phases 2 and 3, there will be continuous service diversions to allow access to the local track. In phase 2, service will be provided using the northbound express track. Customers will access the local stations by either using temporary platforms or back riding to their destination. Likewise, the service plan for Phase 3 will mirror Phase 2, affecting service in the southbound direction. These diversions will allow the work to be done under both contracts at the same time, while the Culver Viaduct contract is rehabilitating the local track and the viaduct structure. The Church Avenue contractor will be installing equipment on the local and express tracks. After the completion of the viaduct project, Church Avenue project will continue into its final phase. During Phase 5, diversions will be similar to Phases 2 and 3 shown here affecting southbound service. However, they will be limited to nights and weekends. The temporary platforms will have been removed in Phase 4. Therefore, customers at the bypassed local stations will back ride from the express stations. The precise coordination of these two projects has many advantages. However, it also introduces a number of risks. John Panelidis, Chief of Program Controls, will now discuss the risk assessment conducted to address these risks as well as other risks associated with the project.
Thank you, Craig, and good afternoon. Performing a risk assessment on a project allows us to quantify the positive and or negative impact in terms of time and cost on the various risks on a project. The process also confirms our confidence in our developed costs and schedules. Now, in order to minimize the impact of those risks to our projects, we also identify corrective actions to be taken. These will assist us in the successful completion of the project within budget, schedule, but it also minimizes customer inconvenience. Before I present the risk assessments on the risk assessment results, I would like to briefly discuss the process, benefits, and challenges of coordinating the Church Avenue and the Care Viaduct projects. As Craig mentioned, a key element of the Care Line Viaduct project phasing are the prolonged 24-hour, 7-day-a-week truck shutdown, as well as the 21-weekend full truck shutdowns, diversions. During our risk assessment presentation, as we mentioned back in April of this year, we mentioned that in order to take advantage of these truck shutdowns, we tend to construct numerous projects simultaneously. This will minimize additional inconvenience to the public and reduce project costs and duration. One of these projects is the Church Avenue Interlocking project, which is part of the proposed 2010 to 14 5-year capital program. Now, given the possibility of not having an approved 2010 to 14 program until the latter part of 2010, this project is currently programmed for an October 2010 award. But in order to maximize the truck access opportunities provided by the Care Viaduct project, it is essential that we award the Church Avenue Interlocking project as soon as possible. We believe that by securing federal funding, we will be able to advance the award of this project as early as March of 2010. This will result in a savings of 11 months in the project duration and approximately $27 million in savings in the total project cost. Therefore, the risk assessment was performed based on a March 2010 award. Some of the benefits of coordinating the two projects are that by coordinating and taking advantage of the truck shutdowns, we believe that this will increase contractor productivity and minimize contractor risks relating to truck access. As it will be shown later in the presentation, this results again into shorter duration and savings in the project cost. By performing also multiple projects concurrently, it also minimizes customer inconvenience. With benefits, we have challenges. Since the Church Avenue contractor is dependent on the Care Line Viaduct phasing and schedule of progress, the Church Avenue contractor must be flexible in order to adjust its work activities accordingly. The Church Avenue project, though, work activities can be performed well within the Care Viaduct phasing. Therefore, it should not affect the progress of the Care Viaduct project. I would like also to mention that currently the Care Viaduct project is on schedule. As we mentioned previously, we have already performed a risk assessment of the Care Viaduct project. Now, to accurately and successfully reflect and incorporate the Care Line Viaduct-related risk, we integrated and simulated both Care and Church Avenue models. The risk assessment results based on the March 2000 award are as follows. This graph shows the schedule results. As we mentioned, the base duration is approximately 48 months. Based on the risk assessment, it shows that there is an 80% confidence level that the project will not exceed 49.8 months or 2 months later. The main cause of this delay is the possibility of the Care Viaduct contractor might be late in performing its phase work, and it could affect the progress of the Church Avenue Interlocking project. This graph shows the risk assessment results related to total project costs, which includes bid, TA labor, and construction administration. The base estimate is $290 million. The risk assessment result shows there is an 80% confidence that the total project cost will not exceed $260 million. This is $3 million less than our project cost. We believe that the unique opportunity of taking advantage of the truck access shutdowns of the Viaduct project, which increases as it was previously noted, productivity and reduces conductor risk related to track access, as well as the fact that the carry viaduct general conductor can also perform signal work, and also that you have not bid any signal-related projects recently. We believe that will result into favorable bids.
John, could I stop you there just for 1 second?
Sure.
Also looking at this chart, at the 90% confidence interval, the cost would be $218 million. Is that what this is telling us?
Right.
And our expectation is it's going to cost $219. So
That's our base estimate, that including everything, like I said, bid, PLA and stuff like that. But again, given the fact that conductors also are concerned about truck access, given the fact that you have truck shutdowns, you have weekend diversions, and they can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's a tremendous benefit to a conductor. So that risk is minimized tremendously.
great. Thank you.
Now, this table minimizes shows the risk as well as mitigations that we plan to undertake in order to minimize or to perform the project successfully within budget and within schedule, but also to minimize contractor risks. But as you previously mentioned, in order to maximize the track access opportunities provided by the Cameron Viaduct project, we propose to advance the award to this project as early as March 2010 by securing program approval and federal funding.
Let me stop you again. This project needs Albany's approval to move forward, correct? Unless we get federal funding, and then we're allowed to advance it
Right.
without Albany's assent. Is that correct?
If it's fully federally funded, we've taken the position such as track work, which is fully federally funded, that it can proceed. I'm asking the capital program budget folks to look into, whether the amount that we anticipate from federal grants would be enough to fully fund this early, considering that we usually have a list of projects that are anticipated for grant amounts. So if we can, I think there's a strong case that's made here for both time and money savings by progressing this. So our goal would be to, if the funding would allow, to do that.
And it's fairly certain that we would actually secure funds by March of 2010 from the feds?
Well, that's the other part, that we're looking at all of that as when we would have it and what our capabilities would do. So I'll get back to the committee on that.
There's a lot at stake if we can move this ahead.
Well, we just talked about some of the mitigations that we're planning to take in order to, again, secure funding. Because delay there from March award, we delay the award of this project, we minimize the opportunity of track access, and therefore duration and cost will both increase. And like we said, if we wait until October 2010 to award this project, that will result in an 11-month increase in duration and about $28 million increase in project cost. Fred now has some closing remarks.
So in summary, what started out as our formal risk assessment process really turned into a risk and opportunity assessment. So at the end, we found that we really need to work to the extent possible, both transit with the MTA, to push to move the award of this project as early as possible in 2010, to take full advantage of the opportunities that we were able to now quantify through the assessment process. And the maximum that we can achieve is identified here, which would be as much as an 11-month improvement on the overall duration, with as much as $27 million in overall saved costs from a October planned award date. But we find that these assessments are very beneficial to us, to enable us to do exactly that. Not only work to mitigate the risk, but to capitalize on as many opportunities as we identify when we have these large group sessions to discuss the details of the specific projects.
These assessments are fabulous, and I'm so glad that we're using them to their fullest benefit. They really help and inform the decision-making process. And we all have to hope that we can get this going in March. It means a lot less wear and tear on our riders and a lot of money saved. So keep us informed on that progress. Great job, thank you. Any questions? Ira?
Someone had mentioned the removal of tracks at the Church Avenue yard. How large is that yard?
The yard is below the existing station
Right,
structure. It houses, I believe, six tracks. It's not
That's
a
a
large
six-
yard, but it's
yeah.
because it can be used as a terminal facility. Those yards are very helpful to support
Right,
that service.
But there's not going to be a reduction in the
No,
capacity,
it's
is
a
there?
reconfiguration of the throat of the yard, so where we can actually enter the yard and still access all those existing yard tracks. We can shrink the amount of track footage entering the yard.
Oh, but there'll be still 6.
The total
Full
capacity of the
trains.
yard does not
Okay.
change. That's correct.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to hear, is that right?
Or John O'Grady.
Oh, John O'Grady, I'm sorry. Sorry, John, gosh. Please go ahead.
I'm John O'Grady.
He always has good news, so that's why I rarely see him. I hear the bad stuff, so go ahead, John.
I'm going to carry that over for my next report sometime. Okay? I just want you to know, now that my daughter lives on 87th and 2nd, it better be about 2nd Avenue subway. I'm going to stay away from 2nd Avenue today. Good afternoon, all. My area is infrastructure and facilities, and the independent engineer will be reporting on that following a short discussion I'm going to have with a couple of projects that are either written up in the report on my area or they're covered in the exception reports that are generated from my area. This photo here, or this slide here, is a shot of some of the structural rehabilitation work we are doing as part of the 168th to 207th Street Structural Rehabilitation and Tunnel Lighting Project. In the Oversight Engineers report, there is a write-up about the need for 3 additional weekend general orders. And the response to that write-up is that New York City Transit is going to go ahead and have those weekend general orders. So that doesn't really explain to you the story behind why the need. And so we just wanted to show a couple of views of the work, some additional work that was necessary as we went about the rehabilitation of that tunnel. Essentially what this view shows is that there were deteriorated sections of the catwalk, which is the safety walkway adjacent to the track, that needed to be rebuilt. This was not identified as part of the initial contract, so we took on that work as an additional work order, and we repaired these catwalk sections and restored them to a safe condition. Now, in the process of doing that additional work, we delayed the existing contract work. So I just wanted to explain why there is a comment in the Oversight Engineers report about the need for 3 additional weekend general orders.
And it is worth noting, these are the catwalks that if you have an event in a tunnel and people need to get out of the tunnel, this is the way they go. So having a crumbling catwalk is not what we want. We really need a secure way for people to get out.
All right. I thought you'd enjoy this slide. It shows a very organized work site. Fortunately, 99% of this work is not transit work. This is a view of Fulton Street, and this is a reconstruction of all the utilities underneath Fulton Street. In the middle of this slide, you can see a large pipe. This work is being generated as a result of the need for the city to build a new water main down Fulton Street. In the process, the city orders out all of the private utilities. They do that at no cost to the city. And what happens for transit is that about a year ago I reported to you about the successful completion of the Cliff Street substation project. This is a substation that provides traction power to the I&D in 2 areas. One at the Cranberry Tubes, at the beginning of the Underriver Tubes, and the other at the Fulton Street I&D station. So leaving the substation, you have ductwork that travels underneath the street going in 2 directions. Now, once the city decided to go along and rebuild all the utilities in Fulton Street as a result of the water main work, Transit decided to piggyback along with that work and try to get some of our damaged ductwork replaced. We had existing capacity which was satisfactory, but it was not to the level that we would want on a long-term operating basis. So essentially, we needed to rebuild some of our ductwork. That ductwork is beneath the street, and it's 100 years old. It's, for the most part, the deepest utility under the street. So anytime another utility would come in to the street, essentially our facilities are in danger of being damaged. They are monitored. We do everything we can to protect them from being damaged, but 100-year-old infrastructure will be damaged on occasion, either through the work adjacent to it or by the advancement of its own age. So, like I said, it's a very, very organized work site, and this particular project happens to be listed in my exception reports. It's I'm experiencing a delay in getting the work done. However, this is work that I'm very, very happy to report from Transit's point of view. We have successfully managed to route or snake through our duct run. That is the green run that has the reinforcement cage around it. You can see it snaking along on the left 1/3 of the screen as we make our way down Fulton Street and towards where we need to be, which is at the William Street intersection. This is just some additional work that's being rebuilt as we do that work. And this is a view of a disgruntled me. I'm happy to say that we're finally there, and a chief electrical engineer in the middle there being very, very happy about getting all the way through. However, this is the spot where we're actually leaving the street and we're descending now into the station. We're going into the circuit breaker house that's at the end of the Fulton Street station. So this part of the run, which was the most significant, challenging run, we finally made it through. It's written.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all hand excavated. All hand excavated. It's all hand restored, and essentially working along the street like that. The best intentions are you get a certain area out at a time, and you might have half a dozen to a dozen labor. You can't fit any more people in the area that you're working than that. In this particular case, we managed to make the case for opening up the intersections for 3 continuous weekends in order to allow us to expedite the work. The city has a mandate, or has mandated, that this work be finished by the end of October of this year. The transit part of this will be finished, or actually it is finished. No, this is a very, very involved, and the fact of the matter is that finding a lane for a support infrastructure for transit is a very difficult thing to achieve, but we did. The 30th Street fan plan is also written up within the oversight reports for a good reason. It's basically targeted as being a job that's worth modeling and trying to use on other projects. This is probably the most successful project in my area. This job was awarded a little over 3 years ago, and essentially it was a job that we thought would be a real problem project. It's a very busy area, right adjacent to 6th Avenue. 30th Street is a cross street which has a lot of traffic on it from Madison Square Garden area. We have a lot of local businesses, as you can see here, and essentially we really, really were concerned about being able to advance this job without delay. We managed to deck the street. We did all our work underneath the decking, and at least here you can see we managed to organize the utilities for everybody's benefit. And this is a view of the plenum underneath 6th Avenue. The PATH train would be above us here, and the IND structure would be below us. So essentially we use that structural void as the plenum for distribution of air, for emergency air, so either supply or exhaust for the IND line here. And the street has been restored to normal. You don't even know we were there. Actually, they do know we were there because we actually restored the street to a new capacity, which is unusual for a New York City street.
Wait a minute, John. The good news?
Well, there's good news, but Mike's going to report on that.
Well, you can do it.
No, it's a job that's well within schedule and about $10 million under budget.
And well within schedule is about 9 months ahead
Yeah.
of schedule, so it's very commendable.
The flood work is a work that's been reported on over the last several times over the last year and a half. Since the flood report was issued in September 2007, we provided interim updates on our progress towards completion of the priority locations. As I think we previously reported, all of the priority locations, Transit had 6 priority locations to fix: Hillside Avenue, Northern Boulevard, Chambers Street, and two stations on the Upper Broadway line, 86th and 79th Street. We had those 6 locations to fix by within 18 months or by March of 2009. We fixed those locations through a functional, though an aesthetic street furniture element, as you can see here on Hillside Avenue. Here at Chamber Street, a different type of raised unit, but one that has been embraced by the folks in the community. And on Upper Broadway, we raised the units so that they are above a flooding level. As I said, the units are functional. They keep water out of the system. They've saved us from flooding on Hillside Avenue several times. They essentially elevate the grading so that we still have ventilation for the transit system, but at the same time they elevate the grading so it's above flood level. That concludes my discussion. What's noted, though, in the oversight report is the fact that there's a second tier group of stations, the balance of our 33 flood locations. There's a note that in the oversight report that we have been stymied a little bit on progressing the work in some of the Manhattan locations. We've had an issue of getting DOT approval for raised units in the sidewalks of Manhattan. That's an issue that's still under negotiation with DOT. I'm not hopeful that we will succeed in all locations, but I am hopeful that we'll get them to agree for some of the locations. What's the major concern? Snow removal or something? When you raise a sidewalk rate like that, DOT's perspective is that you're taking away sidewalk capacity. And that, in a lot of Manhattan locations, that's a very legitimate concern. Okay. However, from Transit's perspective, the only known way that we have to keep water out of the system is to either close our vent gratings or raise them. And we close them where we absolutely can, but we know there's a certain level of ventilation that we have to provide no matter what. So there's many locations that we cannot close, in which case our only real fail-safe is to raise the gratings above, and that creates that challenge with DOT.
Yeah, there is another alternative that we're exploring, which basically is a mechanical closure that does not require us to raise the grate. So we're
get a couple cigarette butts and things like that inside the mechanics of these things. I've been silenced. that could make them a maintenance nightmare. I mean, it really would be grand if we could simply raise these vents and have done this whole issue.
Well, I think maybe a couple of cigarette butts might be a slight exaggeration. If somebody dropped a screwdriver and a crowbar down through the vent, I think that would be closer to it. But right. But I mean, we have had a very close working relationship with DOT. We have made tremendous progress, and we look forward to continue to do that.
Thank you. There's exception reports also from my area that if anybody has any questions on, be free to.
Thank you very much. Now we can move on to Mike.
Yes.
From Delcam.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Our report this month focuses on Transit's infrastructure and facilities program, which is indeed a healthy program. I have 6 projects that are worth mentioning to you today. One in the structures area, which John already talked about, and well on their way to completing this project with those 3 additional general orders. In the shops and yards program, a shop project at the 207th Street overhaul. It's a design that is 100% complete and will not be able to go into construction pending funding. This much needed facility has a number of phases and components of work to keep this facility operating at peak efficiency. And despite the project being deferred, Transit has established a number of workarounds and temporary solutions that will hold them until this project can be built in the next capital plan. Ventilation facilities, it's already been mentioned, and I'll say it again, the 30th Street and 6th Avenue project, a very successful project, 9 months ahead of schedule, and savings that could exceed $10 million. Agency comments to our comments here are the fact that this is a result of lessons learned, and I can attest to that. 10 years ago, this would not have been possible, and they have really made good use of the variety of vent plant projects over the years. They've distilled that into a project such as this one, and they now have a pattern or a template, if you will, for how to tackle these vent plant projects that works for CPM, Department of Subways, and the local neighborhood. Job well done here. Next project. 55th Street and 8th Avenue vent plant. There will be a 4-month delay in design completion, but that will pale in comparison to the benefits that will be realized during construction in terms of mitigating schedule delays and the associated additional costs with that. So it's a very prudent approach. Next slide. And finally, in the pump facilities program, next one, it's already been mentioned, the flood program in Brooklyn and Queens. When we wrote the report, an agreement with DOT was not in hand. It is now in hand, and those projects will proceed to completion. And finally, the 8 locations in Manhattan. Again, this is the second tier, having already completed the high priority flooding projects on schedule. But our comment here is until an agreement is reached with DOT, there will be both cost and schedule implications, as well as, and most importantly, the potential for flooding at these 8 locations in Manhattan. And that concludes our report, Madam Chair.
I'd say that's a pretty good bill of health.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Linda, thank you for letting me guest host this month. This is a very well-behaved committee, and it was a pleasure working with you. Motion to adjourn. Second. 2:05, Commissioner Page.